You're listening to The Observing Eye. Pirate radio for the mind. Coming at you fresh from the computer hell cabin.
Hello, you beautiful lot. It's Friday, the 28th of April, and this is episode 16 of The Observing Eye. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first visit, welcome aboard. As always, I like to start these episodes with a brief moment of reflection. So we're going to spend just a moment thinking about the good things that have happened to us this week. Let's express some gratitude. And now, let's pause a moment for the not so good. In this episode, I want to talk about something which on the surface may seem a little bit contentious, but I think there is a lot to be said for it. And that is selfishness. Now, this is fueled by a talk I watched on Monday by Matthew McConaughey. All right. That's right, that McConaughey. And he's written a book called Green Lights, which I have purchased, but I will admit to have not started reading yet. And it's essentially a book that collates his journals from the past 20 odd years. He's a prolific journaler, which I think is something that we can all aspire to. I think journaling is, and I've talked about this before, journaling is a super useful exercise in that it allows us to garner some context and to get stuff out of our heads. And we can go back and look at how we responded to things in the past that might be similar and how we've changed, how we've evolved. It gives us like a reference point. So yeah, journaling, very, very cool. Recommend you all try that at some point. Now, maybe. Try it this weekend. But this book, Green Lights, it talks about obstacles and how we can turn obstacles into opportunities. Very much that Stoic idea, the obstacle is the way. Now, off the back of this book, he put together a training course, which I watched on Monday, or watched the introduction to it on Monday. He did this live talk thing on Facebook and YouTube, like this big virtual event. It's really good, actually, and he comes across really well. So this episode isn't a promotion for McConaughey. I'm just voicing my thoughts on it. And at the very end of the talk, he says that selfishness can actually be a really useful tool and an act of selflessness. So selfishness can be selfless, essentially. On the surface, we're like, what the fuck? How can being selfish be of benefit to others? And I think there's a real weighty connotation to the word selfish. And I wonder if using the word selfish in this context isn't necessarily the right one to use. Because we think of selfish and we immediately visualize somebody who perhaps takes advantage of others, who hoards all the things, the sort of person that buys all the toilet rolls in a pandemic. What he's saying here essentially is that taking care of ourselves can ultimately lead to a more effective and beneficial engagement with other people. Okay? So maybe we don't want to use the word selfish, if that makes us all feel better, because, there in some of us, in the empathic, compassionate ones amongst us, the word selfish can bring around like almost a sense of revulsion, You can't be selfish. Selfish is bad. So maybe we can redefine it as self-care or self-prioritization or something like that, Yes, it is selfish because it is an act that is for the benefit of the self. But that doesn't mean that it has to be bad. So, if it helps, let's call it self-prioritization, okay? So what we're doing in this is we're ensuring that our own well-being is in good condition. And if our own well-being is in good condition, then we're better equipped to support and contribute positively to the lives of those around us. Still with me? Good. So I want to talk through a few points on this to give you some ideas and examples, because I try for this not to be too fluffy. I like to create a bridge. I like to give you something that you can take away and actually use in a practical sense. So let's talk through some points on how self-prioritization can be of benefit to those around us. Firstly, then, let's get into physical and mental well-being. So if we're looking after our physical health, we're looking after our mental health, then we're going to be better equipped to handle stress. We're going to be more emotionally balanced, which in turn enables us to be more present, more compassionate, and more supportive in our interactions with others. So looking after the machine. Yeah, I'm sure we've all been there. I know I certainly have, when work gets tough and you're grinding the grindstone, and your physical and mental health takes a lesser priority, which in turn makes us more stressed and less able to function effectively. And hello, burnout, game over, and then you pull the plug on yourself. So that sounded a bit dark, didn't it? But you know what I mean. So look after the physical and mental well-being. That should really be priority number one, your physical and mental health. Those two things should always take priority over everything. And I know that sounds selfish, but this is it, isn't it? We've got to be in a functioning state to support the things that are important to us. So next, personal growth. So we need to invest time in our own growth and development. You listening to this podcast is you investing time in your own growth and development, in your understanding. This is you being selfish. This is you taking a moment for yourself so that you can better grow in a positive direction. So again, personal growth. The more we understand ourselves, the more we grow and we become better human beings, the more we can contribute effectively to our relationships, to our communities, and we can share knowledge and experience and skills that we've learned as part of our journey with others and bring them up as well. So get selfish. Spend some time on your own growth. We need to set boundaries by being selfish enough to set healthy, constructive boundaries. We can create a sense of balance. We can make sure that we aren't overextending ourselves. This in turn, it allows us to be more engaged and more focused when we choose to help others. And it means that we're not so overwhelmed or drained by excessive demands on our time and energy because we've put those boundaries in place. We know the limits of what we can give. We know our capacity. We aren't pushing ourselves beyond this, which goes back to number one, physical and mental well-being. We're maintaining our mental well-being by setting those boundaries so that we don't burn ourselves out and become grumpy, husky shells like a dusty old wasp's nest that are really no good to anybody. We can become examples to others by prioritizing our self-care, by working on our personal growth. We set a positive example. We can become inspirational in that sense. That can be your home life, your friends, your workplace. We can inspire others to invest in their own well-being, to invest in their own development, because they can see the positive impact that it has had on us. The way that we've changed, the way that we've bloomed into something better than we were because we spent time, we invested time and energy and effort into becoming a better human being. We were selfish because we spent time on ourselves. We gain an increased capacity for empathy. What a wonderful thing empathy is, right? We all need more empathy. The world needs more empathy. So by understanding and investigating and addressing our needs, by being selfish and spending time looking inwards at us, we can garner a better ability to recognize and empathize with the needs of others because we've understood our own needs. And that's all we can do, right, is understand our own experiences and use those experiences to support those going through a similar thing. We can only go as far as we have been. And that's a very weird statement, but you can take someone as far as you've been, right? You can't take them further. So if you've gone down that road further than somebody else who's struggling behind you, and they're struggling with the same sort of shit that you were, you've got the skills and the wisdom to be able to guide them forwards, to bring them up to where you are. Whereas this is about pulling people up, using the skills that we learn to support others. And finally, I want to talk about long-term sustainability. So this again ties into the first point around physical and mental well-being. So when we prioritize our own well-being, we have the energy and the resources to be able to support other people. And it stops us being burnt out, and it keeps us healthy, and it means we can be consistent, and we can be reliable, and we can be dependable. Because we have the tools in place and we have the energy and the empathy and the boundaries and all of those things that we need and which seem selfish because we've spent time on ourselves. But they fundamentally lead to us being able to act selflessly. They equip us with the tools to support and benefit others. And that's why selfishness can be selfless. And that's all I have to say on being selfish. Bit of a shorter one this week because it's been a bit of a busy one, but all in a good sense, all in a manageable sense. I'm setting my boundaries. I'm working on my physical health. I'm meditating. I'm keeping my well-being going. I'm trying to practice what I preach because sometimes I fall off the wagon with this stuff, and it's easily done. We're human beings. The important thing is to know the framework, is to know what we should be doing. Every now and then you're gonna slip up, and that's cool. We exercise self-compassion in those times, right? It's okay to slip up because we know what we should be doing. We have the framework in place. We've got the guidebook. We can jump back on it again. Get back on the horse. Keep riding. See, I'm getting a bit McConaughey now. I've been hit with a Texan bug. So yeah. As always, thank you for listening. It's wonderful to have you here. I'm going to wish you all a fabulous weekend. Do something selfish this weekend. And I don't mean like stealing food from children. Carve out some time for you. Work on your physical health, your mental health. Do some meditating. Get on a self-development course. Read a book on philosophy, on stoicism. Broaden your perspective. Put things in that toolkit of yours for your own personal growth and development. Invest time in yourself. Much love, everybody, and I'll catch you soon.
You've been listening to The Observing Eye. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I hope that you found it useful. And if you're interested in any more of my writings or work around psychology and philosophy and general day-to-day living, please go and take a look at my Substack, which is theobservingeye.substack.com, and that's I as in the letter, not I as in the gelatinous organ through which you see. Take care, everybody. Much love, and I'll see you soon.